So, you know, sometimes when you can't get to the spooky, decayed old fishing town, you have to bring the spooky, decayed old fishing town to you. Yes, today on Dragon's Teeth, we're finishing the Innsmouth build. Hi, I'm Rob Hoyton. Thanks for joining me today. Now, if you're a regular here, you'll know that we've been doing an Innsmouth build. Specifically, I've been building an Esoteric Order of Dagon. Now, this is going to get a lot of use in the future, no doubt, but it was for a specific project, and that was a game at Innsmouth Literary Festival. That ran last Saturday, and the game went very well. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But you may remember from last time, I got the building finished, I got everything done, and I felt it just needed a little extra something. I had a look around on Etsy and I found these two marvelous Cthulhu statues. So I ordered them off of Etsy. I'll put the link down in the show notes below, and luckily they turned up in time. They turned up 4 or 5 days before the festival, so I had a chance to get them painted up. What I'm going to do today is show you how I did that and how the whole thing looks, not only when it's finished, but how it looks in its rightful place in Innsmouth. So here's our figures then, and these are about 35-40mm tall. Of course, as they're 3D printed, you can get them in different scales. Very nice, very nicely detailed. And yeah, they arrived pretty quick through the post as well. So first thing is to give them a spray, a black undercoat, using my usual, just generic cheap spray undercoat stuff. I actually think they look pretty good in this shiny black. That's quite a nice finish for these. But I wanted to give them a little bit of Innsmouth colour. So the next stage was to dry brush them with grey. This is one of my old Tamiya paints, I think. I always have an issue with having too much on the brush when I dry brush, so I always use that kitchen towel to try and take almost all the paint off before applying it. And then the same process with some white just to pick out the highlights. And of course, if you're using washes or speed paints, I found you do need quite a lot of white in order to get that tinge. If you put a wash or a speed paint on black, or if it's too dark, it doesn't really show up so much. So here's a couple of the paints I'm using: Army Painter's Flesh Wash and Orc Green. And we start with that green, fairly sort of watery mix, almost like a wash, just to really start giving it that Innsmouth tinge. I think in the original Shadow over Innsmouth story, where there was jewellery and a statue, it was described as a greenish stone. Then I'm going to do another layer and a bit of purple this time, because you can't go wrong with purple, can you, for horror stuff. So again, a wash, and I like the way this is running into all the little creases, and just adding that extra layer of slightly clashing colours. Green and purple don't quite mix, do they? But you know, that's the effect we're looking for. So here are the two finished. Now I did these rather quickly. There were a couple of other things I did after. I highlighted the eyes with a sort of fluorescent orange just to bring those out a bit, and did a little bit more highlighting. But with the time I had, I was happy with this, and here they are in their rightful place in front of the Esoteric Order of Dagon building. And now let's see that building itself in situ in Innsmouth. So here we are on a sunny Saturday afternoon in the middle of Innsmouth. Not sure there's such a thing as a typical Saturday in Innsmouth, but this one is a little different in that the place is being attacked. There's a Dagon ritual underway. The deep ones are being summoned from the waves, and there are various hardy bands of adventurers coming into Innsmouth to try and put a stop to all this skullduggery. There's some there you can see on the seafront. We've got a lovely lighthouse there, as part of the scenery. Innsmouth Lighthouse, there's Matt in the background. And a lot of the terrain from this is from Bedford Gladiators, particularly from Steve and Terry, so a big thanks to them. Here's the rules. This was designed as a game that people could drop in on, you know, just play for 10 or 15 minutes, take control of the adventurers. And here's a sort of overview of the map. We've got the forest, we've got the marsh on the edge of Innsmouth, we've got the cards for the deep ones there. There's a very nice straightforward combat system that Mark devised for this. Unfortunately, on the day I was so busy I didn't really have time to stop and chat too much. There's our railway line. Again, some soldiers from the look of it coming into Innsmouth on the train there. And back to that town square where most of the action seems to be happening. Looks like various groups of cultists and deep ones against our plucky investigators. Now, the title is A Tale of Two Innsmouths because we also had, thanks to the splendid chaps at Peterborough Wargames Club, we had Innsmouth 2220 as well. So, this is a futuristic version of Innsmouth on a far-flung planet because, you know, there's Innsmouths everywhere throughout time and space. So again, this was a participation game. There's the rules. People can just come up and join in for a little bit, help fight off the strange alien creatures, including this wonderful giant crab. I love that. I think that looks great. So a huge thanks to Peterborough Wargames Club and to Bedford Gladiators for putting on these games. They look absolutely splendid. I wish I'd had time to join in and play, but I'm sure Innsmouth 1920 will be making an appearance down at the club, so I'll get to play it there. There'll be a separate video going up on the Innsmouth Literary Festival. We really did pack a lot in this time. Our guest of honour was Charles Stross. We had various other guests, panels, traders, gaming, all sorts of stuff going on, so keep an eye out for that video. I'd like to thank everyone who came on the day, everyone who helped out, and a big thanks, of course, to Mark and Bedford Gladiators and the chaps from Peterborough Wargaming Club as well, and for Graham and Steph for running our Call of Cthulhu scenarios. That's it for today then. Thanks for watching, and of course, should you find yourself in a strange old rundown seaside town from now on, well, hopefully you'll know which building to definitely avoid. See you next time.